सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Because we chanted Purnamadaha in the beginning, it does not mean that the session has come to an end. It is because that this Upanishad starts with this Shanti mantra. Hence, therefore, we started with the Purnamadaha. Yesterday we saw the, take all of them so that you don't need to be. So yesterday we saw the meaning of Purnamadaha, an introduction into Upanishads. We also saw what part of our scriptures is Upanishads and what is the meaning of Upanishad. Now diving directly into this Upanishad, the introduction by Sri Adi Shankaracharya into this Upanishad, he makes a very daring statement. He says, there are two paths. One is called Pravritti Marga, the second one is called Nivritti Marga. Pravritti is extrovert, Nivritti is introvert. Pravritti is for the material benefits and interaction with the world for those material benefits. Nivritti Marga is, though you are staying surrounded by the material, your focus has changed towards Nivritti. And these two paths do not cross each other. They are not perpendicular paths that you will find an intersection of these two. They are parallel paths, each one guiding the individual in opposite directions from each other. These two paths, they are not just parallel, but that they are opposite to each other in their direction. Pravritti takes it outwardly, Nivritti takes it inwardly. And there is no mincing of words here. And he uses a particular word. He says, Parvatavat sthiraha, meaning that this logic is unshakable. Here we make a slight mistake in our efforts, in our endeavors. While we are in the marga of pravritti, as we saw yesterday, we are seeking happiness, but as long as we are in the pravritti marga, that happiness through jnana is not a possibility. Through the karma of pravritti in the outside world, gaining jnana and thus thereby gaining happiness is not a possibility. So who is the seeker here? The one who understands the difference between pravritti and nivritti is the adhikari for Upanishad. Upanishad is, our effort here today is not to make a textbook study. It is not a syllabus that we are trying to cover. But when would we understand what this Ishavasyopanishad is, or any Upanishad is trying to state? We can understand it only when we have the clarity to start with that pravritti and nivritti are not intersections. They don't intersect each other. Pravritti meaning the world of various activities that we are involved in, indulged in, do not take us to happiness. That happiness is gained only through the establishment of jnana. In the platform of that jnana we experience happiness, which happens only through nivritti. So the one who understands this clearly, let us see what does it imply. Oh yeah, I understand it. No, not just the words, the implied meaning of it. What does it imply? The implied meaning of this particular statement is that stop searching for happiness out in the world. As soon as we finish this discourse, we would rush out with the idea of effort, that the effort that I am going to take henceforth is where my happiness is. That conviction has to change, and when that conviction changes within, because we have a very strong conviction that is called satyatva buddhi, and as long as that satyatva buddhi does not change, we are not qualified for this scriptural study. There are few of us, or many of us, who get qualified for this study after various experiences in life, which smack straight into our face this naked truth. But then, by then, we have reached to the heights of frustration. Heights of frustration that I have tried my hand on everything in the world, but all that I have gotten is different shades of dissatisfaction. So let me try something else. These are many of us, one category. The second category of them, they observe the texture of life around them. And because of their Purva Janma Samskara, because of their sadhana, because of their Sukshma Buddhi, sharp intellect, they are able to analyze this pattern of life in the world. That though many of us, all of us are running out there in search of happiness, but that happiness is not found anywhere. So there should be some other method to find it. So these are the ones whom I call intelligent ones, because they have not gone through that experience themselves, but they have observed others going through that experience, and then they make that decision that out there is not happiness, there should be another way. Either of these two seekers are qualified for Upanishadic study. There are third category people. What are these third category people? They say, I think I'm okay where I am. Why do I need to go to satsang? Please don't come. It is not a forced endeavor. And there are those who come to the satsang not with this clarity, but with the idea of acquiring certain punya. In their minds they have punya points and papa points. And they say, make these kinds of statements. Swamiji, out there in the world we cannot but do various kinds of things which I know are papa. So in the evening I come here to wind off, it feels peaceful, so that I can acquire little punya. Their mindset is not again ready for this kind of knowledge. They are here for acquiring certain punya. So if there is anybody of that mindset, let me burst the bubble right here. If you are participating in a satsanga, it will not give you punya. Any amount of little punya that you have will be deducted from your balance sheet. What do you mean? That coming to satsanga you lose your punya? I am not saying that you are doing papa, but you lose your punya. You still have time. Katlo patli gali se. Why do I make such a statement? It is because that after lives of punya, when we come to attend a satsanga, satsanga is the result of the punya. Satsanga does not give punya, but because of the acquired punya, we acquire a moment in our life to attend satsanga. So if our mind is ready with the earlier said two categories, wherein we understand that pravritti and nivritti are two different tracks, they are parallels and each taking in a different direction. He starts with this first mantra of Ishavasyopanishad. Those of you who have books, good. But if you do not have, just raise your hand. A copy of Ishavasyopanishad will be given to you. Raise it little high so that those who have to supply it to you will know. My request to you is, tomorrow when you come, of course there are two clauses. When you come, if you come, please bring this copy along with you. They'll scribble on it, they'll write on it, take it. But when you come, bring it back. So repeat after me the first mantra. Om Ishavasyamidagam sarvam Yatkincha jagatyam jagat Tena tyaktena bhunjitha Magradha kasya sviddhanam. The word meaning is Ishavasyam idagam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. This entire jagat, entire world is permeated by one conscious principle. Ishavasyam idagam sarvam yatkincha. Every aspect of this world is filled with that one conscious principle alone. Tena tyaktena bhunjitha magradha kasya sviddhanam. Tena tyaktena. Tena kena, we will come to that. What do you have to, what is that tena? What is it that you have to give up? That when you give up. Bhunjitaha, either relish, enjoy or adhere to, the various shades of meanings. All are true. Bhunjitaha magradha kasya sviddhanam. Do not covet for anybody's wealth, any kind of wealth, any kind of security. Do not covet for any kind of security. The first statement itself, in my Desi language, it would be a sixer. Straight out of the stadium. That's why I said, who is qualified for this? The one who has distinct clarity in their understanding that happiness and the world of actions are not intersecting paths. So that I'll keep working and one day I'll be happy. Aayega. One day it will be there when I'll be happy. They are not intersections. Now what does Adi Shankaracharya ji have to say about it? He says, Ishavasyam ityadi. See, when you look at even Mahabharata or the Smriti Granthas, Purana or the Upanishads, there was never a concept of what we call full stop or a period or a comma. So right before the work began, the composition begins, the author states that this composition is in this meter. Like this particular mantra is in the meter called Anushtup Chandas. So the Anushtup Chandas, once they have stated, it is for the reader to now, he has to know Sanskrit, he has to know that what does Anushtup Chandas mean. So what does Anushtup Chandas mean? The Anushtup Chandas means that it has 32 syllables and they can be divided into 4 quarters, each quarter having 8 syllables. So there was never a period or a comma given. It's all one single sentence running. If you read the scriptures, and if you do not know this, you would be quite thrown off. So for such, when they start writing commentary, which is also in a prose form, there is no full stop, comma or anywhere. So how do they start? They said, this particular commentary is for Ishavasyam ityadi. This is for that mantra which starts with Ishavasya. Having said thus, he says, Isha Ishta itit tenesha. I'll try to say this Sanskrit as less as possible. But then he is trying to give the etymological derivation of the word Isha. What does Isha mean? The root word is Ishta. Ishta meaning to have the supreme power. Supreme power to govern, maintain a body. And with reference to that body, such individual is called Isha. So who is that Isha here? After having given the etymological derivation, he defines what that Isha is. He says, Ishita Parameshwaraha Paramatma Sarvasya. This Ishvara is none other than Parameshwara Paramatma, who governs every aspect of everything that which we call as this world. Sahi sarvam ishte sarvajantunam atmasan pratyagatmataya tena svena rupena atmana isha. So how does he govern? So we immediately get the picture that there is somebody up there who is, away, who is governing all that which is down here. No, there is a little difference here. What is the difference? He says, Sarvajantunam Atmasan, by being the very life force, the spirit of everything that which we call as matter. By being the spirit of everything that which we call as matter, he is ruling the entire Jagat, entire universe. Now what does this Jagat constitute of? He says, everything. What do you mean by everything? Even in our, as simple as the first shloka that we teach in our Balavihar. Akhanda mandalakaram vyaptam yena characharam. Where is this Isha spread all around in the world? It says chara acharam jagat. Both the sentient and the insentient part of, or aspect of this world is governed by one supreme Paramatma alone. And how is he governing it? By being the very spirit enlivening this entire universe. Pratyagatmataya. Tena svena rupena atmana isha vasyam achadaniyam ityarthaha. He says that this Paramatma is not somewhere up above the sky, somewhere looking down on us. He is become as us. And being that enlivening force within us, he is governing us, guiding us, managing us. Without whose presence, nothing exists. I have chosen my word here. I am not saying or I am not stating that without whose presence nothing lives. I am transcending that life principle here. Nothing exists. Because life principle is only in the chara, sentient. In the insentient, that aspect of life principle is not there, but it exists. Even for that to exist, it is because of that Paramatma supporting it, being the substratum of everything in this universe. And this is what we saw in Purnamadaha. that he has not created this universe being separate from other than this universe, but he has become in such a way that he is the one who is expressing and expanding as this universe. So the student says, Kim Sarvam? What do you mean by Sarvam? So he says, Idam Sarvam Yatkincha. Everything that you can cognize as this. See, when in Bhagavad Gita is nothing but the extract of Upanishads. Bhagavan Krishna, he was a cowherd, right? So he knew how to milk. So he milked the Upanishads into Bhagavad Gita. So in the Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, the 13th chapter, he defines what is Kshetra. Idam Kshetram. Whatever you cognize as this is Kshetra. It is called Jagat. So everything that we can cognize, right from the outside world to the inside, the body, mind and intellect, everything is nothing but that supreme alone and supported by that supreme alone. Oh, you mean to say that even this physical aspect and everything is Paramatma? Exactly. So there is nothing wrong in running after the world. And that is where there is a little difference. And what is the difference? He says that on this Paramatma who is expanded as this universe, there is a samsarga dosha. Samsarga dosha, because of the proximity, there is a dosha which is born. What kind of dosha? He says, if there is a piece of wood, and the most fragrant one, it is a sandalwood. If it is soaked in water, in couple of days it will start stinking. But if with the same water it is grinded, it starts releasing the fragrance. So same water, if it is soaked in that water, the wood starts stinking. But with the same water on the grinding stone, if you start grinding it, say if you go to this temples, there is one particular person whose job throughout the day is to grind sandalwood paste constantly. I don't know if you have ever tried grinding the paste. Man. Because you are looking at it, you have been grinding it for 5-10 minutes and nothing has come there yet. And they are taking paste as in like balls of paste. And such fragrance that it releases. Similarly, where was that fragrance? It was in the wood, permeating everywhere. But just because it was with water, it will not give that fragrance. We have to go through that grinding process to reach there. Very beautiful example. So he says, Jagatyam Prithvivyam, on this earth, everywhere, all the Chara Achara, there is only one Ishvara, and this Ishvara is permeating in and through every aspect of this universe, without whose presence nothing ever exists. Now such Paramatma, evam Ishwaram Atma Bhavanaya Yuktasya Putradyeshanatraya Sanyasaha eva Adhikaraha na Karmasu. If we have to reach to that Paramatma, it can be reached only by giving up. And those who have that strength and courage to give up that attachment to the worldliness. See, now this word is so often used. When something is used so often, it loses its depth. Here, when they say giving up the attachment, what we interpret, what happens in our head, is we interpret it as giving up that person, that place, that responsibility, that duty, and then moving forward. That is not called giving up. That is not called renouncing. That is not called sannyasa. That is called tyaga. So here he says, sayeva adhikaraha na karmasu, not through actions. Tera tyaktena bhunjitaha ityarthaha. What is it that you have to give up? It is that sense of attachment that has to be given up. And here he gives a very beautiful example, a beautiful meaning of what this mantra says about bhunjitaha. He says, palayita ityarthaha. Bhunjitaha, palayitaha. Palayitaha, to have responsibility but yet not have the attachment. The trick is very simple. To have responsibility but not have attachment. See, we have heard this even earlier in Bhagavad Gita, even in the Veda mantras that we chant before Aarati. Na karmana na prajaya dhanena tyage naike amrtatva manashuhu. Earlier we used to chant it in a very funny way. We here say we'll just learn it. So the first time I came to Dallas and I was hearing this mantra, I didn't know if I had to be shocked or I had to laugh. Because the way they were chanting it was, na karmana na prajaya dhane na tyage naike amrtatva manashuhu. Whatever that mantra meant, by the way they were reading it, they were chanting it exactly with the opposite meaning. Na karmana na prajaya na dhanena. But instead of saying dhanena means by the means of wealth. What they did was dhane na. And that na continues with na tyage naike amrtatva manashuhu. The original meaning, as the mantra states, is that supreme, that amritatva, immortality, has to be gained, and it cannot be gained through na karmana, not through actions, na prajaya, not through progeny or children, nor through wealth. Only by giving up that attachment, tyagena eke, that is the only method to reach to that immortality. How were they chanting it? What was the meaning? To reach to that immortality, neither karma nor the praja, the children, will give you that immortality. Dhane eva. Only in money you can find it. Not even tyaga can take you there. Awesome. No wonder they believed in it and they were working similarly. Probably translated it would mean paise mein Paramatma hai.
The Catholics used to do that in old days. You can buy your place in Swarga.
Well, no comments on it. Na karmana na prajaya na dhanena tyagena eke. By giving up that sense of attachment alone, by taking the responsibility, but by giving up the attachment. Now attachment to what? attachment to two agencies. Kartrutva, bhoktrutva. Doership and enjoyership. As simple as these two terms appear, where it really has to be practiced giving up, the Texan slang, it would be ain't that easy. And since that conviction is very deep, that my happiness is still outside, what do? We covet wealth. There are two meanings that he has given, very beautiful meaning. The first meaning is, whatever you have done in your past will result as your present moment. Sukha, dukha, both. If you are serious of reaching to that Paramatma, do not put effort to avoid dukkha or to gain sukha. It needs strength. It needs intellectual strength, because it has to come from that clarity. Then what should I do? As the sukha comes, watch it pass by. As the dukkha comes, watch it pass by. That which is already, that which you are already entitled for, you don't need to put effort. Sukha and dukkha, they are anyway the result of your earlier actions, they will keep coming. Do not aim for that sukha and dukkha in life. That is not the purpose of life. A very, very strong statement made. Because our entire philosophy, what do you call this? The materialistic philosophy is dukkha nivritti first, then we will think about sukha. Let me get through this dukkha, then I will think about sukha. Sukha and dukkha will come and go anyway. And that which is coming without any effort, effortlessly, that which becomes a part of your life, why do you have to struggle? Mahadhritaha. Don't covet for avoiding dukkha or gaining sukha. That is anyway a part of your deal. The moment you are born, you will have to go through it. Don't covet for them. Not just for, he is talking at a subtle layer. Where are we? We have our sets of sukha and dukkha. We want other sukha also. This is one standpoint of understanding of not coveting anything. The second standpoint, he says, if everything is Paramatma and that Paramatma is you, how can you desire for something which is already you? But Swami, I am not there. You are seeking that, right? If you are seeking that Paramatma, which is your own self, what should be the effort? The effort should be leading towards it, not taking you away from it. So if everything is Paramatma, why should you aggrandize? Why should you possess? That is why he gave the Adhikara Lakshana right in the beginning. Who will understand this Ishavasyopanishad? Is for that sincere seeker who knows distinctly, who knows with that clarity that my happiness is not out there in the world. I live in the world performing my duties, responsibilities according to prarabdha. Neither to avoid dukkha nor to gain sukha. As the dukkha comes and goes, so also sukha comes and goes. All that I have to focus is not get entangled in this sukha dukkha, but to raise above it so that I can glide myself to that Paramatma. And for that, the only method is tyaga. Tena tyaktena bhunjitaha ma gridha kasya sviddhanam. There was another beautiful Mahatma, he gave a very beautiful interpretation. He says, Gridha is a vulture. And what is the attitude of this vulture? It flies high, but where is its vision? Down low. And that too on what? Dead carcass, worthless thing. On one hand, you want to fly high. On the other hand, your eyes are always rooted only in these worthless things. Would you go up at all? Because even you are little going up, the purpose is so that you can gain this Eshanatraya. So that I can gain little wealth, so that I can gain little popularity, name, fame. So that people recognize me. I create boundaries of security around me. If the purpose is to reach to that Paramatma, why do you need that security, that sense of security? If there is anything other than Paramatma, yes, you have to have security. If everything is Paramatma, and you want to have a certain sense of security within, I mean, the whole idea is concocted, jumbled. But for this Virakta Shiromani, somebody who has absolute Vairagya, does not care have any value for the worldliness of his interactions. If it is my prarabdha, it will come. I will fulfill my responsibilities, because that is also a part of prarabdha. And when I do fulfill my responsibilities, it is not for either enjoyership or the doership. It is because I ought to fulfill the responsibility. Which comes back to the second or third chapter of self-unfoldment. Why do I have to fulfill my responsibilities? So that the layers of likes and dislikes can be gotten rid of. That is the only purpose. So this is too steep. It is something which is not what we had bargained for. So the Upanishad mantra says, for the rest of us who are not qualified, the message given is in the second mantra. Well, there is a second mantra, right? Because this is too steep for us to catch up to. So for the anadhikari, how do we gain that adhikara? That second mantra states, repeat after me. Kurvanneveha karmani jijivishet chatagam samaha evam tvayi nanyathe tosti na karma lipyate nare. Kurvan neveha karmani Jijivishet Shatagam Samaha. So for the rest of us, what is the message? From birth till the last moment of our life, in Gurudev's words, from womb to the tomb, kurvanneveha karmani. Perform your actions diligently. Jijivishet Shatagam Samaha. Performing a dutiful life, a responsible life, Shatagam Samaha, for a lifetime of 100 years. It was an average. Those who say that the science has improved the life expectancy, my argument is earlier the life expectancy was 100. Now it has come down to 75, 76. So I don't know if the science has helped us reach there or get down to this level. So Jijivishet Shatagam Samaha, a full life of 100 years. Evam tvayi nanyathe tosti, nanyatha asti. Thus living a content, dutiful, responsible life. Na karma lipyate nare. As stated by the scriptures, when you perform your responsibilities and your actions, such actions as guided by the scriptures when performed, it will help you two ways. One, to get rid of the existing layers of ignorance and its effects, karma and vasana. And the second benefit is not to acquire newer patterns. So thus when you keep performing life after life, one day you shall see the end of the tunnel. You shall see light at the end of the tunnel. Now, end of the tunnel I see, but if there is no light, then what is the use? You shall see light at the end of the tunnel. See, dealing with Balavihar, sometimes they give you these beautiful viewpoints. So one kid asked me, Swamiji, when you see light at the end of the tunnel, what does it mean? So I said, you have come to the end, now you start relishing. I said, no, run like hell, because there is a train fast approaching towards you. So light. For those who are still identified as this jiva, identified with this body, mind and intellect, tied down by it, bound by it completely, the first mantra seems very difficult. I won't call it impossible, but very difficult. Why? Because we lack that courage. We are those who perform activities with plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. If plan A fails, I have plan B. If plan B fails, I have plan C. If plan C fails, I have plan D. I have various security levels that I install. Unless I feel that secured environment, I don't feel like moving forward. Coming from that background, suddenly to drop everything, drop all sense of attachments and securities and then move forward, seems not just impossible, but seems foolish. That is the most pathetic aspect, not the impossible part. That we deem that path as foolish, impractical. Okay, let us not contest on whether it is practical or impractical. Those who have that courage will follow that. For the rest of us, this is the message. So here again he starts. Kurvanneva iti. as I said, the mantra, and the mantra's commentary starts with the first word, kurvanneva iti. Now the commentary is for the mantra which starts with kurvanneva, the first word. Kurvanneveha nivartayan eva karmani agnihotraadini jijivishet jivitum ichet shatasankhyaakaha samaha samvatsaran. And he says, why shata samvatsaraha? Tavadhi purushasya paramayuhu nirupitam. That is the maximum life expectancy of a human being. Nirupitam, the scriptures say it from various standpoints. Probably when the manufacturer manufactured us, even the keyboards and everything that we use, they go through that stress test. That 5 million strokes, and then it will start breaking up, giving away. So maybe after 100 years of rigorous use, things will literally fall apart. It's high time that you quit now. Nirupitam. The scriptures from various standpoints say that 100 years is a good life to live. How should you live? He says, Nivartayan eva karmani agnihotraadini. This is coming from a very orthodox standpoint. But if we translate it into our day-to-day life, Nivartayan, performing all our duties, responsibilities and obligations meticulously as the scriptures state them to be righteous, not based on our states of conveniences, but as the scriptures deem them to be righteous. Even Bhagavan Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he says that Kamosmi Bharatarshabha, I am also in the form of desire in your heart. But what kind of desire? Dharma aviruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha. I am that kind of desire which is righteous as stated by the scriptures. Thus guided by the scriptures, when we lead our life of duties, responsibilities and obligations, I use these three words quite regularly because each one of them have a separate, distinct meaning. A short intro into these three words. Responsibilities. That which you cannot avoid but perform. That which you cannot escape but have to involve in are responsibilities. Towards family, towards children, towards parents, towards the society, towards the nation, towards the environment, towards the devas, towards the scriptures, depending on where we are. And our scriptures have said, two different classifications, Varna and Ashram. Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa. So age decides what responsibilities that you have to take up to. And you cannot do away with them. You cannot escape. They are inevitables in life. How long should I put up with these children? There are some people, parents, they come for counseling and they are so frustrated with children and their anxiety bouts. पता नहीं कहां से पैदा हो गए. I am like, duh, you better know it. I am waiting for that moment when the responsibility is done. It cannot be done. Or or it cannot be undone. It is something which you are responsible for a lifetime. You cannot escape from it. Again, as decided by the ashrama that which we belong to. Duties. Duties are something which you perform and there is a return of gain. Responsibilities, when you perform, there is no return of gain. When you don't perform, you are censured, you are criticized. As a mother, you give them everyday breakfast, they will keep complaining, nagging about the same kind of breakfast, though it is tasty, still complain, never appreciate. One day when there is no breakfast or breakfast turns out to be a little bad, there is always complaint. So that is responsibility. A duty has a return of gain. And if you do not care for that gain or want to care for more, you can change the role of your duties. What you perform in your offices, in your cubicles, those are your duties. You get every 15 days once a paycheck? Roughly, approximately. You don't like it, or you want more. You can change them. Duties you can shift, you can change. Obligations are your humanness in expression. You need not perform them, but being a human being, but you cannot let go by not performing them. It is neither your duty nor your responsibility to say that somebody has fallen to go help them. It's an obligation. Why? Because you are a human. You perform these responsibilities. Nirvartayam. Cannot escape from them. And I keep very jovially, I keep giving this example. I thought I could escape from one set of parents and getting into Grihastha ashram and that many children. I thought I escaped. Now look at how many children I have. 10 times the Gandhari. 1,000 kids. And when we take them for camps and other places, the parents are very willing, le jao. We get 3-day vacation. These are not something that you can give up. You have to perform them. And as prescribed by the scriptures, when we perform them, what does it do? Jijivishataha nare naramatra abhimanitaha, being consumed by the concept of being a human being, meaning with the body, mind and intellect and their attributes and modifications. When we perform these actions, but perform them so diligently as stated by the scriptures, lipyate na karma lipsyata ityarthaha. You will not be bound by them as you start exhausting them. But then these are very strict disciplines in life. There is no scope for conveniences. That I felt convenient so I could do it, or I felt inconvenient so I did not do it. It is not based on conveniences. On the other aspect, when you look at it, When we perform a life full of responsible behavior, as stated by the scriptures, what would it give us as a benefit? The immediate benefit is we grow instantly out of our likes and dislikes. We grow out of our own tendencies and patterns, that which bind us. How can performing a responsibility help us grow out of our likes and dislikes? Whether you like your husband, wife, children or not, you have to keep performing it. So you will have to invent a method to grow over your likes and dislikes while performing it. But an easy cop out, what do we do? That is one thing that I like about those three words. Talak, talak, talak. No process, no paperwork, nothing required. 3 words stated, done. Accept, kubul, done. Responsibilities are not that flimsy. You cannot give up. It comes with a package. When you are married, you will have children, you will have to take care of them, everything, it's a package. As the scriptures have stated. And then he says that thus performing, it will not give you jnana, it will not take you to Paramatma. ये क्या twist है? All this done said, you say it will not take us to jnana, it will not take us to Paramatma. Any action performed will not take you to Paramatma. Why should you perform? The earlier one was too steep. We knew it was almost impossible, or sometimes we even treat it as foolish. But the next step we thought we had some hope. And still here there is no Paramatma. Karma cannot give happiness. But when dutifully performed, when performed with responsible attitude, what it does, that it cleans us from within, which gives us the scope as of the earlier adhikari. First one was the ultimate step, but in order to reach there, this helps us. And our Veda Vyasji also gives this to his son Shukacharya in the Mahabharata Shanti Parva. He says, Dvav imau athau panthanah yatra vedaha pratishthitaha pravritti lakshanah dharmah nivrittischa vibhavitaha. These two parts of pravritti and nivritti are given by the scriptures, vedaha pratishthitaha. By performing the pravritti in such a way that you get qualified for nivritti, so that you get that kind of mental strength and courage, giving up tyakta bhava becomes easy. You might have seen, if somebody forces something on you to relinquish, to give up, can it be forced? Even as simple as, if I say, don't think about a monkey for next 5 minutes, can I stop you? Next 5 minutes, all that you will be thinking, or more than that, why monkey? And that too in this lecture, when there is no context, why monkey? To give up something one has to have that courage, that strength from within. And that can be gained only when we perform the actions as the scriptures have stated, depending on our varna, ashrama, dharma, when we perform them dutifully. Those layers of likes and dislikes, the tendencies are weakened and we can transcend them. Another step, if I may add, how do you transcend them? To remove the negative patterns of likes and dislikes, we add the values, morals and ethics. By translating these values into virtues. Values are respected, whereas virtues are practiced. When is it a value? When you see it in others. When is it a virtue? When you see it in yourself. That is what I meant. It is a value when it is respected, and it is a virtue when it is practiced. It helps us grow out of the negative patterns to positive patterns. But the entire sadhana is not for becoming a good person, gaining a good personality. From that platform to transcend even goodness, to disidentify even from that goodness. Our folklore says it beautifully. Neki kar kuएं में डाल. Do good and drop that goodness. Drop the attachment to that goodness immediately. And what do we do? नेकी तो किया, recognize किया, तो उसको कुएं में डाला. We do good, but we anticipate return of our investment. As simple as you have cooked something and put breakfast, lunch or whatever. You have been waiting. Sometimes no waiting. Point blank range. How is it? What else can you say? There are some tricky questions. You can never answer them. That is when I put a cookie or laddu in my mouth. I don't want to answer. If somebody asks you, am I fat? Am I looking fat? Never dare answer that question. I did. I had my own experience. Doing to completely withdraw from the patterns of these good and bad is not easy. So first work on getting out of the bad patterns. Then work on gaining strength on the good. Once you have gained that platform, disidentify from that too. It is at that moment when we have the ability to disidentify from the good that we do, that we gather that inner strength to disidentify from everything across. Such one, as stated in the earlier mantra, Bhunjitaha, they are the qualified ones to revel in that platform. Now those of us who do not fall in either of these earlier two mantra categories, अब उनका क्या होगा? What will happen to them? So the Upanishad mantra says, the third mantra, repeat after me. असुर्या नाम ते लोकाः अंधेन तमसावृताः तांस्ते प्रेत्याभिगच्छन्ति ये के चात्महनो जनाः। अथ इदानीम् अविद्वत् निंदार्थः अयं मंत्रः आरभ्यते। Adi Shankaracharya ji, as I said, he is somebody who does not mince his words, and very bluntly he puts it. He says, what is the purpose of this mantra in this Upanishad? He says, avidvan, those who are mudamate, nindarthaha, to criticize them and censure them. Ayam mantraha. This mantra's purpose is only that. So those of us who have not fallen in the first two categories, we have a third category. And what is that? Asuryaha iti. So this is how he starts his commentary. परमात्म भावम अद्वयम अपेक्ष्य देवादयः अपि असुराः तेषां च स्वभूताः लोकाः असुर्या नाम. So he takes up a totally beautiful standpoint. He does not talk about even the human beings. He says, Devadayah api, even the gods, when lose track of this basic concept that everything is Paramatma, and that Paramatma is the non-dual one supreme alone, even those Devaha are called Asuraha. What to talk of you and me? Those Devas who forget the aspect that Paramatma is permeating through, in and through everything in this universe, he is the substratum for this universe. Even such Devaha, Asuraha Tesham, they are all Asuraha eva. It does not matter what Varna you are, what Ashrama you are. It does not matter what kind of color clothes you wear or unicolor clothes you wear. If we are not yet rooted in that Paramatma's Advaya Tattva, or if we are not working towards that, so that these karma, the bondages of karma can be loosened up so that we can grow higher, if the focus is not that, such ones are called Asuryaha. There was one Swami Akhandanandji. He used to pun with words a lot, especially in Hindi. So he said, who is Asuraha? जिनके जिंदगी में न सुर है न ताल है, वो असुर है. Those in whose life there is no rhythm or harmony, such ones are called asura. And those who don't have the tala, they are called betala. Even the devas are called asura. What to talk of humans? And then the word used here is Asurya nama te lokaha. Not just that they are asuras, but all that they create around themselves as their secured world. Loka, secured world, is nothing but asuri sampatti only. How much more can an Upanishad be direct? ते लोकाः कर्मफलानि लोक्यन्ते दृश्यन्ते भुज्यन्ते इति जन्मानि. So what are these lokaha? So we perform actions. So there is a loka of kartrutva. Even while we are doing, we need cheerleaders all along, patting us. You are the best. You are doing great. We want that recognition. And then bhujyante, the karma phala, enjoying it, and we get addicted to that enjoyship. So such lokaha, we keep creating it. What does it take us to? Andhena tamasavritaha. Andhena adarshanatmakena ajnanena avritaha. Andhena meaning ajnanena avritaha. And from such ajnana, ignorance, any logic given by such person will only to be justify that state of their existence rather than to grow out of it. Though internally our aim is to gain to that happiness, but we are so caught up in our own world, lokaha, we are not ready to look beyond that aspect. Hence, therefore, whatever we are living as, however we are living as, we tend to justify from our ignorant standpoint. And they give pretty logical statements. And once I was trying to, discuss with this couple, and there was some issue, and I was trying to talk to them. I said, take time off, go to an ashram, spend 2-3 months there. You'll at least realize that what you think that you are indispensable. You go there. Even without you, things will happen. Don't fear that. And suddenly this Amma, his wife, she looks at me with a strange look on her face and says, anyway, how would you understand? After all, a brahmachari. I said, I had never denied it. True. But if you have to transcend it, that logic which is born out of ignorance will help us sustain that ignorance alone, but not to transcend it. Andhena adarshanatmakena ajnanena tamasavritaha achhaditaha. Tamasavritaha, totally clouded by the concepts of that ignorance. How strong is this ignorance? That which is obvious doesn't seem obvious. That which is not obvious seems very obvious. That is how they are clouded. I'll make it very clear, simple terms. That because of whose presence, that Ishvara, that Paramatma, because of whose presence I can talk, I can see, I can interact with this world of plurality, that because of which I exist is obviously not perceived. That because of whose presence I can experience it is not perceived. And that which is not obvious, and what is not obvious? Happiness which is out in the world. एक proof दिखा दो भैया. But we will run after it. Why? Deluded with the concepts born out of ignorance. Andhena tamasavrataha. तान ते प्रेत्याभिगच्छन्ति ये चात्महनो जनाः. प्रेत्य त्यक्त्वा इमं देहम अभिगच्छन्ति यथा कर्म यथा श्रुतम. With such kind of ignorant patterns, Pretya, when they leave this body, what happens to them? Abhigachanti, they move forward depending on what they have earned of papa punya in this life. Yatha karma. And depending on what karma they have acquired in this life, whatever is Shrutam, the scriptures dictate that for such actions they will get life. They will continue in the cycle of birth and death again and again. So one might ask, poor fellows, when do they get a break? Paramatma is quite benign, I tell you. Even for such people, Paramatma drops in often messages with clarity. Break away from this pattern and move along. It's not window of opportunity. It's a double door opportunity. But we neglect to look at it. And here, even the Upanishad criticize such person. What do they say? Such ones are the ones who perform, and what they perform can be only categorized as Atmahatya. See, normally when we say Atmahatya, we interpret it as suicide. The scriptures have a totally different take on it. It is when we miss these opportunities, we kill these opportunities by neglecting them. This is Prakritaha avidvamsaha janaha atmahanaha uchyate. So such artificial ones, Prakritaha, avidvamsaha, clouded with ignorance, they are the ones who, not just life after life, moment to moment, though they are living but they are as good as dead. Atmahanaha. Te hi atmahanana doshena samsaranti. Because of this atmahatya, not taking not making use of the opportunity provided to go beyond this ignorance. The layers of this ignorance become so important that again in that layers of ignorance there is comparison, there is competition, there is possessiveness, there is jealous. All for what? Like the vulture trying, when there are vultures who fight, mid-air fights, fighting for what? Dead carcass. I'll give you a very light example. Back in India, though there is a trash can or a dumpster on every street, you know, where is the trash? 5 to 10 meters on all directions of that dumpster. Because people practice their basketball there. They won't take time to go there and drop it off, but rather, oh, missed. It must have fallen 5-10 meters this side, 5-10 meters that side, everywhere, spread around. And that gave rise to a different profession called rag pickers. You must have seen them. They have this bag, and early in the morning they are with a piece of metal or stick. They are going through the trash, picking all the plastic and the metal and things like that. One day after my morning satsang, after the lecture was done, I was driving down. I saw these two rag pickers fighting. So I just stopped by to observe as to what they were fighting on. I was amused. What could be their topic of fight? So finally I understood that they were fighting, that one of them had trespassed into his trash area. Other lane was your trash area, why have you come picking in my area? This is mine. I felt sad for their state, but also I had a smile on my face. A smile on my face because they are obviously out there fighting, we are sophisticatedly fighting. But both have no difference because we are still fighting for trash. How much we have gathered, how much we will. Ma gradaha kasya svidhanam. Where are we trapped? This again not just to censure or criticize them, but unless this kind of harsh language is used to penetrate that ignorance, to give that opportunity, becomes impossible. Asurya namate lokaha andhena tamasavvrataha tamste pretya vigachanti yeke cha atmahano janaha. On contrast to this, vidvamsaha tad viparyayena vidvamsaha janaha muchyante tena atmahanaha. Those who have the wisdom to not fall trapped to this trash of worldliness, they are not atmaghati, atmahatya. They don't perform that. They don't indulge in that. So what do they see? What they experience is explained in the next 4 mantras, 4 or 5 mantras. That we will see tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.